Hello and welcome to the first ever edition of the OMFL Atlanta Falcons Review, the new show I will be doing for the Atlanta Falcons. I'm your host, Mike Fleury, and in this episode, we'll be discussing how we got here. We'll be discussing the brief playoff run for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And we will be looking at the Atlanta Falcons and going through some of my thought process on the roster. So let's just jump into it. So, for those of you who were in chat at the time, you will already know this, but for the rest of you, how this came about was Big Hurt and Nicesonger had agreed to swap teams. I don't know how that happened exactly, but from what I understand, Nicesonger found that running his favorite team was too difficult. Some people have a hard time divorcing the sentimentality of appreciating and loving the team that you see in real life and the players and the emotional attachment involved in fandom for the players in the real world that you watch every Sunday, and the ones that we have here in the video game that follow different rules in terms of ability and uh, regression and other things. Some people can't divorce themselves of that sentimentality and find making the hard decisions on players too difficult. Because part of the reason we use our favorite teams is to use the team that we see on television in the game. And the further down the line we go, the more moves we make, the more decisions we make, the farther from that team we get. So every draft, every free agency, we get a little farther away from the team we watch every Sunday. And that takes away, for some people, a little bit of the joy and the fun of running their own team. Other people don't have that, or don't have it as acutely. I would say I don't really care. My team has let me down my entire life. As a child, Deion Sanders left. Then we make the Super Bowl and our quarterback gets arrested because, I don't know, soliciting, I think, or something like that. I was really young at the time. Then we get this really great quarterback and he gets thrown in prison. And then we get the great white hope, Matt Ryan, in 28-3. And then we get Kirk Cousins, and I don't know what the hell happened to him this year. It's been a long time of just being let down, so I'm going to rip apart this roster if I have to and make it work. So that's where we are right there. Nicesonger needed to get away from Minnesota. He made a deal. I made a comment like, hey, is Atlanta going to be available? He messaged me right away because I had given him Minnesota when he wanted it, and I took over a really bad Rams team to do it. I eventually moved to Jacksonville, but he thought he would repay the favor and let me get to my Atlanta Falcons, and I'm really excited to do it. I've been doing nothing but thinking and planning and working out trades and working out ideas on how to build this roster, and I really just want to get in here. And the best way to enjoy playing as your team is to win as your team, and the only way you do that is if you build a good roster. And that means letting go of players that actually play on the field. Well, frankly, I wish they'd let go of some of them too in real life. So it's not really an issue for me, and hopefully we'll get to it a bit when I break down the roster. But hopefully we'll be able to figure this out relatively quickly. Now that we've gotten through that, let's talk about our very brief playoff run. We went up against the Cleveland Browns, the fourth time I played them this cycle. Um, it was one-sided. it was entirely one-sided. I didn't get a chance to scout like I would normally scout. Usually I watch a game or two, get an idea of tendencies, where you like to go with the ball, how involved your run game is. Some teams run the ball to get to 12. Other teams run the ball because it's an integral part of their offense. I just didn't have the chance to really scout them, and it showed. They were unstoppable on their offensive side of the ball. Just nothing I threw at them, man, zone, did not matter. They scored 31. It could have easily been 45, but they took their foot off the gas later. It was just it was a really frustrating game. Offensively, it was one of those games where it just felt like they always had a player in the throwing window when I wanted to throw it. Some routes you want to throw early. Early in the route, drags, slants, the quick out plays, etc. And some routes you want to develop, like the comeback that looks like a question mark, or deep ins, deep outs, corners, posts, etc. And it just felt like every time I had a short pass and something quick, he would have a defender in that area, and it wouldn't necessarily be a defender covering that receiver. Like, the receiver would eventually get open, but I wouldn't be able to throw it to them in the window I wanted to throw it to them, so I had to hold the ball. So my quarterback was constantly getting hit, chased, only 2 sacks, but there were a lot of hits as he threw, one leading to an interception, which caused me to go down 14-0, kicked a field goal, 14-3, scored another touchdown, 21-3, and now my entire game plan is just out the window. It was frustrating. It's the only blowout loss I've had this entire cycle. Every game that I've lost has been within 10 points until this game. Just disappointing. I didn't want to go out like this. It's just an unfortunate thing where I just didn't get a chance to do the prep work I would have liked. So, hats off to him. Played a great game. I just wish it could have ended a little better in Jacksonville, but we move on. All right, now let's finally start breaking down the Atlanta Falcons. This team is, like in real life, it has a lot of money spent on kind of aging players, but those contract dollars will soon be off the books as quickly as next season. We have some players we can move, and we have a lot of decisions to make, but hopefully we get a clearer picture of what we're going to be doing in the next couple days. Playoffs are still going on, obviously, so we can't really do a lot, but we are in conversations with teams about the number 5 pick, about trying to fill some of those spots that we have available. But first, how about we talk about Michael Penix Jr., lefty quarterback, which is annoying, but it's fine. I think this year is a lot easier for me. I spread the ball to all the sides of the field a little more this year than I did last year. A lot of my plays last year were going to the right side, so lefty quarterback just felt off. This year I throw the ball all over the field, so I'm more comfortable with, it doesn't really matter what side. I just have to remember to change some of my QB rollouts to the other side to go on the arm side. But as far as being a quarterback, as far as talent goes, Penix Jr. is problematic. Hurt tried to develop this guy. The issue with him is that he starts at 24 years old. And even at star development, 24 years old takes a lot of XP to be building up. He is 79 overall, but he's behind all the quarterbacks taken in his draft year. That's J.J. McCarthy, who was in the mid 80s, I believe. Caleb Williams is in the 99, I think, area, like in the high 90s. Even Jaden Daniels is in the low to mid 80s. It's just, and Drake May, I have no idea. Actually, I haven't checked. I don't even know what team they're on. I think maybe Tampa. 84 deep, 86 mid, 89 short. It's fine. It's fine. That's the only word I can think of. It's not great, but it's okay. The problem is because he's already 26 as of the year I'm taking over. It takes 9,000 points just to get him up a little bit, and even progressing him um, with like focus training and stuff, it's like 700 points of XP per game per week. So to get 9-10,000 points to move him up, it doesn't work. I mean, you're looking at about 1,000 points a game, so you're gonna get one, maybe two levels a year. He's just not going to develop much more. I can put some of my gold tier XP into him, but then it just becomes kind of like, why? I don't think he's going to be my quarterback long term in any Madden. If I stay in this league for 10 years, I don't see Penix Jr. being my quarterback in any of them. Just because, like, next year he'll be 25, like in real life, and he'll be a 72, 73, 74 overall. And that already, because of the age, the way this game curves age, you're already looking at a quarterback that's going to be really difficult to develop compared to his peers who are 22, 23. And by the time his first contract's over, he'll be close to the regression age. So we're in a situation here where, like, what are we even doing? I think it might be easier to go rookie and restart the process. But now we're getting into the draft here, and I don't know if I'm going to have my top 5 pick. I don't think I would draft with the top 5 pick quarterback. I have other needs that I would go with the top 5, thinking maybe I can trade down or use my first for things and then grab like a second round quarterback if there's one available and try to develop them. But I also need offensive line and linebacker. And so we're in a situation here where just I don't know that Penix Jr. is the answer, but I don't know what the answer is. We have about 23 million in cap, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to go into free agency and make anything really work there. And that's just going to have to be how we do it in this game and maybe in future games. I might have to make a point of drafting a quarterback in future drafts to use as an import because I won't be able to really rely on having Penix, even though he was just drafted. But because of his age, it makes the way Madden works, it makes development very difficult. Hurt put a lot of work and a lot of time into it, and he's a 79 overall. It just doesn't when you look at other quarterbacks in his class alone. Drake May's a 90, 90 with lower overall because of morale, so he's probably like 91, 92. I mean, Jaden Daniels, 85, but he's playing above, so let's say 83, 84. it's just it doesn't look good for the future of Penix. I mean, even like look at the Niners. They just drafted a guy. I don't know if he was like 72, 73, 74 overall, but he's already in the 80s, so he's already past Penix. So, I mean, what can you really do except just try to maybe make it work or move on at this point. Now, as for the rest of the roster, obviously Bijan Robinson is our running back. We don't know who our number two will be. I think I'm probably going to let Algier go. Just way too slow. 86 speed does not do anything for me. I like that he doesn't fumble, but it's just 86 speed. So we'll have to worry about that. Receiving core is pretty solid. Drake London's really good, 85. So, but playing down, so 86, 87. Rondale Moore's pretty good. He could fit into my Brian Thomas Jr. role, though he is a little small at 5'7", so I'm a little worried about how he'll take contact. But um, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. It's too early to talk about any kind of trade, but I am targeting some wide receivers to fill in for the number two, and then have Rondale Moore be like more of a slot guy. But we'll see where that leads out. Kyle Pitts is a dynamic player in game. I don't use the tight end enough. I'm not sure where we're gonna go with this, but we will probably be more incentivized given his new contract to try to get him going. He got apparently signed earlier in the year, so we'll have to figure that out. Offensive line's a bit of a question mark. Jake Matthews probably has one good year left in him, and I might need to use that. Matthew Bergeron's solid for a 25, 26-year-old interior offensive lineman. He's pretty good. Dahlman's fine, probably around the same 79, 80 overall. He will be fine. I'm looking forward to figuring out how to use him. He's pretty much a run block only kind of guy. He doesn't really have pass block skills, so I might have to look into kind of a Brandon Scherf, Israel Cleveland situation where I can use him and somebody else to kind of patchwork the offensive line. Right guard, Chris Lindstrom, just superstar player right there. I might move him around to a different spot just to balance out the O-line, but I'm far away from figuring out if I'm going to do that or not. We're going to have to go through the offensive line sometime in the off season, look in the draft, look in free agency, see what we have. We don't have a ton of cap, but we have some. Caleb McGarry is somebody I would have liked to bring back, but he wants a 2-year contract. I want to see what happens when we roll over. If he wants a 1-year deal at less than 10, I might bring him back just to be a situational run block kind of guy, because he's got great run block talent, but can't pass block for shit, and I don't want to lock him into 2 years. He's already going to regress, so I would like to just kind of see how much he's going to cost me. I don't have a ton of money, and I think about 8 holes to fill in right now. I could phrase that better. I have about 8 spots I need some depth in. We'll have to see what happens with that, but we'll hopefully be able to address that with some trades and free agency. But with the low amount of cap, we're gonna have to really put some time in to figuring out what we're gonna do, make a plan. But Gary would be nice, but I don't know if he's gonna stick. Defensively, Ebiketie is now defensive end, 27 years old. I think he got re-signed last year or the year before. I don't know if I would have re-signed him. He's like an 80 overall, 81 overall defensive end. He's fine. But we have him for now. Braylon Trice is going to play the other side. We're going to try to build him up and maybe put a little work into Zach Harrison. Um, we're just trying to see if we can get these guys into being playable for us going forward. While doing that, we also have some defensive tackles that we're going to try to really work on. I've had some success building defensive tackles this year, so DeMar Price is going to get some work. Brandon Dorless is going to get some work. And we're just going to really focus on getting these guys developed into our defense and into our system a lot in the way that we did for Mason Smith or Johnson in Jacksonville. We're probably going to have to do the same thing. Took a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of time, but you know, DeMar Price might be somebody that ends up in the mid 70s by the time we move to the next game, and that might be worth using one of the imports on, though he'll be like 26, so maybe not, but it's something at least I'm going to give myself the option. A lot of this is building out as many players as I can for next Madden when I can take over the team at the start and really develop them. This is not going to be the cycle for me to really compete with Atlanta. I took over the team too late. I really didn't get a chance to see how I would develop the team. And with the 3 seasons left, I'm not sure how much I can really move the bar. There have been decisions made in terms of contracts and whatnot that I didn't have any part of that kind of handcuffed me to some players. We're going to work on it. And I'm not saying anything about Hurt. He built the team for him. This team just isn't 100% built for me right now, but I can get there, I think. Especially after next offseason. Next offseason is going to be huge because I have so many expiring contracts that I believe I will be able to just overhaul the entire roster if I need to. I believe we'll have like 50, 60, maybe 70 if my math is right. It's somewhere in the $50 to $70 million range. So we'll be able to do whatever we want, but we got to get there first. And we have one season between then and now. So right now it's just about getting us in a situation where we can build up players to give us options for imports, where we can build up players to fit in roles going forward, hopefully. We got to worry about linebacker. I'd say we're missing maybe 2 pieces. Caden Ellis is going to be gone. Jerome Baker got re-signed. Don't love it. 29 years old. He's going to get a bit of regression. I'm not going to be a huge fan of that. Huge cap pen. I don't know how many years his contract goes for. It's 3-year deal at about $10 million per. I'm just looking now. And that's 29, 30, 31. I would not have re-signed him. It's just $10 million per season. He's already getting pretty old, but I mean, he's fine. He'll be fine for at least another season, maybe 2, but definitely have to do some work. I think JD Bertrand's probably going to be my user. When I'm usering, I tend to prefer guys with decent speed but not too good speed, like Troy Anderson, 91 speed. It's just too much. I tend to overrun plays with that kind of speed. Bertrand allows me to get where I need to go without accidentally overshooting it. He's also got pretty good coverage skills, so that usually tends to be what I'm looking for in a user. So we'll figure that out. We still have a lot of work to do with that, unfortunately. We don't have any young talent really at the linebacker position that I can mold. So that's probably going to be what I'll have to do. Maybe look in the draft or free agency for somebody. corner and DB wise, we're pretty much set. AJ Terrell, Oscar Winthrop, Oscar Bernard. That's pretty good. Jesse Bates, I put on the block, 99 overall. I kind of actually hope his overall maybe shrinks a bit, or at least his Neon Sports value shrinks, because it's way too high. Teams, basically right now, you'd have to give me the first overall pick to get him. So I'm hoping it shrinks just a bit. To where teams a little bit lower in the draft might be interested. Or maybe I can sell them for multiple pieces, but I need to get I need so much talent around that I'm willing to move him and take a chance on bringing in somebody else, somebody young or developing. Max Woodson's probably going to have to go. He's just 25 years old, is good, but he wants like $7 million a year. 90 speed's fine, but 5'9" with like 83 jump or whatever, he just doesn't. He's basically a nickel corner, but I don't need one of those. Tackles well, but with 84 jump at 5'9", he's just not going to be able to compete up against some of the wide receivers and tight ends and whatnot and jump balls. And I need my safeties to be ball hawking, and I just don't feel like he's going to be. Anyways, that about covers everything we need to do for this episode. It'll be the first episode of next season, so I'm going to hold off. As I'm filming it, we're still in the first round. I think we're just finishing the first round. San Francisco and LA are playing. So by the time I post it, it might be a little bit behind. But for the OMFL Atlanta Falcons review, I am Mike Fleury, and as always, I'll try to do better next time.